My concern for this game is not going to be role lock. It's going to be the fact that you're going to want people to log in and want to play this game. And at least in the tank pool, and to a lesser extent, the healer pool, but at least in the tank pool, I just don't see redeeming factors to make these things fun. I just don't see it. Is there a single tank that I find like actually really fun to play? Magneto was okay. They all suck, man. Like they all suck. Like I really, none of them are initially compelling at all. Yeah, Venom is fun, but Venom is so easy. That's just the same gameplay loop. It's fun initially, but then I can imagine it getting really boring the more that you apply. They're just all like worse, clunkier versions of Sigma. Here's the thing, you know why Sigma's fun? You know why Sigma's fun, guys? Tell me why Sigma's fun. Choice? Sort of. Yes, it's freaking accretion. It's freaking accretion. All of these guys have the primary fire, right? They have it, right? But it's freaking accretion. It's the big giant rock. It just has that playmaking opportunity that feels really freaking good to hit it. I just don't see that here. Thor technically has it with his hammer throw, but it's too bad. It's really bad. Venom doesn't have it. Bruce, I think, has something like it, but yeah, Doctor Strange doesn't have it at all. Groot doesn't have it. Captain America doesn't have it. There's no skill shots, or there's no like, and the cooldown management isn't satisfying. Like here's the thing, you're talking about like just the primary fire. Every single tank in this game, in terms of their primary fire satisfaction, is inferior to Reinhardt swinging his hammer, Junker Queen's gun, and you want a big one? Zarya, inferior to Zarya. Zarya feels great. Zarya has a pretty boring kit, but oh my gosh, primary fire is so much fun to do. So satisfying. Winston doesn't really have the most satisfying thing, but managing the cooldowns relatively satisfying. Doomfist as well. Yeah, Doomfist is great. This game's tank's role is really lacking. I think supports were pretty lacking as well. It's not a question of whether tank is balanced in this game mode, right? It's not that at all. But you failed the first hurdle of hero design, which is to make some of these characters really, really fun and enjoyable to play. And I just don't have fun. Thor feels like he could be fun if you didn't, like if your entire gameplay loop revolving around playing for your F, and then you can't use any of your abilities in F, right? Because they're all hammer generators, right? So you can't use them. So you just sit there and you spam shots, right? I would love to reposition. I'd love to throw my hammer, but I can't because I have to play around charging my thing again. So he has the potential, but he's not there. Penny is better with her slingshot, but is pretty much AoE area control. Not a lot of pop-off potential, no skill shots. Magneto I like the bubble aspect of Magneto, but they're on really, really long cooldowns. The primary fire was fun. There is a skill shot with Magneto, but it doesn't feel as satisfying. Groot is just awful. Doctor Strange is mechanically okay. Like there's little animation cancels and things that you can do, but there's like aspects of his kit that are either not very satisfying to do or like are completely unintuitive, like don't synergize with his kit. Like again, the fun aspect is building up damage charge, and I'm not talking about today. So don't think I'm like, this is also all the beta and alpha I played, and I played like 30 hours. It's just, you build up your charge, but you can't do anything with it. You're too slow, and so you just kind of have like this AoE thing on the enemy tank, but it's not very useful on the enemy tank because the damage is more of like, it's just boring. Captain America just exists. He has mobility, but because his damage is so incredibly low, he can't really combo anything. So you have like your run and jumping slam, can't do anything with that. You have your dash, can't really do much with that. You're still playing kind of like a soft dive tank, but it's just like these endless cycles without really accomplishing anything. I haven't played Hulk since the beta, so keep that in mind. But I really hated Hulk's jump. Like really, really hated its jump. Venom is unbelievably low skill floor and ceiling. It's just basically you dive, slam, and it's fun, but it's boring. So it's like not only do we have like a fewer number of tanks, but like if this was Rivals, I would not be coaching or playing Rivals. Like, I would have zero interest in this game if this was Rivals right here. And, you guys ready for this one? If this was Rivals, I would not be playing this game. I wouldn't. I would find no reason to play this game over any other video game out there right now. This is the only reason, like, why I find Marvel Rivals fun. Not fun, but worth playing over anything else. Because it's opportunity cost. I'm not saying that there's nothing redeeming about Vanguard at all. Of course there is. But why would I play that when I can play Overwatch? Why would I ever? Don't say 5v5. I legitimately do not care. I don't care. I would rather play a hero that I actually enjoy the kit, even in the cancer 5v5 format, if that's what, than this. And I wouldn't play the same thing here. I would 10 times rather play Ana and Zenyatta with this. And I'm going to have to, the heroes that immediately stand out to me, I'm going to need to like grind a little bit more to see if there's aspects of the kit that are really satisfying. I'm just not getting it right now. Like Mantis, I think has potential. I've enjoyed playing her every time I've played. And I think the same thing goes with Loki to an extent too. I think Magneto has potential. I think Thor has potential as well. Yeah, I liked Venom, but here's the thing. The more I play of Venom, the more I realize there's just nothing else more to the character. You can see the skill ceiling just isn't there beyond hitting your shots. I'm disappointed, guys. I really am. I think the team ups probably help with some of this. Like I definitely think Magneto is more fun with the team up for sure. So we'll give him that. But man, it feels bad to have to rely off of that team up. Maybe Captain America feels better with the team up with Thor as well. But yeah, they are much more, they are meat slabs. That's what they went with. They went for meat slab tanks, which is pretty, it's interesting to see in the 6v6 format. Because you feel like in 6v6, you don't need meat slabs. You can lean into the utility tanks, more mobile, like tankier, like Wolverine, great example. Increase his HP by a little bit, you know? And something along, dude, that guy is absolutely a tank. Even his entire, like his whole like tank bust. I mean, you need to change his percentage-based HP or percentage-based damage because he'd be too good at tank busting. But like, why is he not a tank? Like that's a hero that has at least an interesting kit on paper, and he was terrible, so I didn't enjoy playing him. But it was kind of like I would have enjoyed playing him if he was a tank and if he actually like, yeah, there's just meat slabs. They're just meat slabs. Because here's the other thing too, the person that struggles with sustain the most is probably the duelist category, right, in terms of securing kills like immortalities and stuff. But it's underrated for how much Vanguard suffer from it too, because you benefit from the healing, but there are a lot of times when you'll play like Thor or Captain America, and you're literally doing almost no damage. Like it feels like you're doing no damage, like you're doing nothing. The problem with Overwatch 2 is not that tanks don't do damage. The problem is that you might blow up to do damage. Like, you might go in with double bubble and just die. You might jump in with Winston, you might die. Again, the comparison to Overwatch there. You could do damage in Overwatch. The question is, you know, are you going to survive long enough to actually or be rewarded for that aggression? And oftentimes the answer is no, and that's Overwatch's flaw. With this, you can tank trade till the cows come home, and HP pools don't move. You guys remember GOATs? GOATs function off of a very tempo-oriented timing. Like, it had a lot of sustain when ults are up, but when ults weren't up, stuff died pretty quickly. So if you've ever played like a custom game with GOATs, it kind of gives you dude, stuff dies fast if you make a mistake. It's very sustain-oriented if you time it right, if you have the ultimates. But you died pretty quick. Like, you could die. You could die quickly. That was the old Overwatch 2 or Overwatch 1. And I'm not saying I'm missing GOATs. I don't like GOATs, right? But it was a sustain meta where you made a mistake and you died. You could construct a sustain meta in here. I think the only thing that's preventing it from happening is because I don't think AoE sustain is good in this game. I will give them credit for that. But you could, in theory, create a pretty sustain-based, and nothing is going to die. Like, if you put Magneto, Captain America, whatever, Doctor Strange, I don't know, it probably would be something like a Groot, maybe a Magneto, Groot, something to control an angle, maybe a Thor, I don't know. I think having Groot to control space on main is really good, Magneto to control space in multiple angles, because he does have the bubble there. Magneto, Thor, Magneto, Thor, Groot, something like that. And you had a couple of strategists. Maybe you had, my initial thoughts are probably Luna Snow, almost certainly. Maybe Mantis, maybe Adam Warlock, right? The big thing is you need someone to mark angles because you don't necessarily have a definitive anti-dive support. But if you could keep it up, or it would be a choke. Something to deal with the Black Panthers and Spider-Mans, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's over. It's over. The thing that's keeping this game from devolving into a sustain fest is the fact that there is not an immediately on paper anti-dive support, and people haven't solved it. So you'll see, you know, Spider-Man's come flying in, freaking Scarlet Witches, like you guys saw, flying in, Psylocke, Iron Fist. It's the amount of dive DPS that can punish mistakes hard that is keeping this from being super sustain solved. Yeah, but it's skill based, is what I'm saying, right? So I think unironically, the DPS cast is preventing the level and nuance and depth and the mechanical expression that you can put out on dive characters, and the DPS cast is the only thing that's keeping this game from becoming a sustain fest. So I want to give credit to the developers while I'm toasting them, right? I really had fun. Like it just makes the tank and support design thing even more egregious when you look at how many DPS characters that are actually relatively unique and how fun they are to play. I had fun playing Squirrel Girl. Okay, let me give you guys my top 10 favorite heroes to play after I've played them a couple of games, right? Top 10. You guys ready for this? I'm gonna have to count this off of my fingers here. I'm gonna start with Duelist. Black Panther, Hawkeye. Really liked Hawkeye. I haven't played Iron Fist enough, but initial impressions definitely up there. Magic, Psylocke. I haven't played enough Spider-Man to know for sure, but maybe Spider-Man. Star-Lord, Squirrel Girl, Winter Soldier, maybe. And then if I compare, okay, so Spider-Man probably 9. Is that 9 or is that 10? Black Panther, Hawkeye, Iron Fist, Magic, Psylocke, Spider-Man, Squirrel Girl, Star-Lord. Yeah, that's 10. That's 10. So I would say either Spider-Man, I think actually Mantis probably edges out Spider-Man for me, and it's pretty comparable. So my top 10 favorite characters in this game are all DPS. All of them. With like Mantis kind of contesting near the front, because I think I like her skill shots. I like the way that she kind of like has like a lot of like responsibilities, kind of amplifying different things. And there's a couple of characters where like I literally don't even want to finish the round with them, right? Like Jeff Shark, I'm like I think that there's an appeal to Jeff. I don't want to, so I'll give credit where credit's due. It's not my cup of tea, right? So okay, sure. You know, a character like Rocket Raccoon, not exactly my cup of tea. A character like Hulk, not my cup of tea. I won't even trash Hulk too much, you know. But there's just characters like Adam Warlock. Like, what is it to the character? It's not fun to heal. The shooting is like whatever. The charge, the right click, the little is pretty fun. That's the AoE sustain, the immortality field, not immortality, but sheer damage thing is not particularly fun to use. There's not audio rewarding. The res is fine, but it doesn't give you a good visual or audio cue. Adam Warlock is probably pretty strong, but he's just not fun. He's just not fun. And I think that goes for a lot of the tanks too, you know? So, like, there are how many... I know we talk about the number of DPS characters, but it's not even the number of DPS characters that's the most important thing for me, but it's the fact that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tanks and 7 supports. We have 15 supports and tanks and 16 DPS. And my top 10, the supports and tanks don't even crack it. Like, how is that possible? How is that possible? I play a lot of support. I'm playing more support and tank in Overwatch than I do in DPS. Heck, even a character like Punisher has like, yeah, he's dumb, but he's kind of fun. No, I didn't like Cap. I thought Cap had potential, but in execution, he just doesn't do any damage. And I played Cap on beta too. I don't know what the tanks need. I think that there needs to be more like mechanical expression or more interesting cooldown management. The problem with a lot of the tanks is that they have extremely long, extremely effective cooldowns. So they lean too far into you have a 12, 13 second cooldown, and it is everything that your kit is revolved around. You know, Magneto has one bubble essentially on a 12-second cooldown. It's really strong, but it's 12 seconds of downtime, right? And even Cap, who has all of these cooldowns, I found myself so many times spamming buttons and there's nothing online. And it's like, how is that possible? The guy has like 3 or 4 cooldowns. Thor, basically, everything about Thor's kit has potential, except for the fact that it all revolves around the fact that you don't want to use your abilities. Like, you don't want to use your abilities with Thor because you're just playing around your F. You don't want to throw your hammer. It doesn't do enough damage. It doesn't do enough. So you save up for your F, right? Venom is the exact same gameplay loop. I don't think there's a consistent theme outside of the fact that they generally don't do that much damage and generally just have a lot of meat slab HP. That is a good general fit, broad paintbrush to go with. But beyond that, I think they all have their unique problems. Captain America, combo potential just isn't there. Doctor Strange has anti-synergy within his kit, which means that you don't get to use the most interesting aspect of his character besides the animation cancel. I think Penny definitely has the most dynamics, but because she's extremely defensive oriented, she feels super out of place in a lot of situations. Groot is just walls. I mean, what else is there to say there? Venom is fun, but has an extremely simple gameplay loop. And while that means his floor means he's very accessible, it just also means that there isn't a lot more to him. Thor has a lot of potential, doesn't quite do it. I think Hulk has a lot of potential, but his jump is just poorly executed. I think they should just copy Winston jump. Just copy it, just do it. Just the whole tank cast feels so lackluster. So lackluster. It feels like MMO tanking. is what it feels like. And that's not what I want in a first-person shooter genre. I understand, and I'm going to go ahead and cut like, this is not an easy problem to fix because tanking is just such a difficult role in all games, right? It's very difficult. It's even difficult in MMOs when you bring tank classes into PvP. But I honestly would rather have slightly imbalanced game that's more fun, especially a game like this. I think it's crazy to me that I'm saying this, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not here to just preach on balance. Not from day one. That's not what I'm here for. It's not, our goal shouldn't be to have a balanced game from day one. I think in many ways that could actually be a bad goal to have on day one. Let it be a little bit imbalanced, you know? But it needs to be appealing and want me to log back in, and not any of these characters maybe want to log back in. And I know that's going to appeal to some people. My opinion isn't fact, but I do think I generally in Overwatch, whenever I've had opinions about the fun and the accessibility of certain characters, over time, it's generally been pretty correct. I think it's just because I've spent a lot of time in first-person shooters and have like a general broad idea because I've coached all the different characters and I know what people find fun and what people don't find fun. Like even a character like Jeff or Mercy, right, in Overwatch, I don't like them, but I can smell the appeal of it, right? If I go through like the duelist gameplay loop, there's risk, there's reward, there's excitement, it's flashy, it's fun, there's different choices of what you can do. There's mechanical expression, there's positioning expression, there's super unique in how they express themselves. There's no Magneto versus Doctor Strange, right? You know, you can feel like you can use every aspect of your kit. You know, I had myself so much more mentally engaged because there were like risks and rewards for it. Did I find my main yet? Not yet. It will probably, we're still working on narrowing it down. I'm taking notes. It's probably going to be a DPS character and a support character. Probably going to be where I'm going to swap around. Initial takes are going to be probably something like Psylocke, Magic, Hawkeye, even though I don't like Hanzo. And see, this is the thing. I don't like Hanzo. Hanzo's never clicked with me. I don't enjoy him, but I love playing Hawkeye. It's not that it was just fun. His kit was a little bloated, so it was a little complicated to pick up at first. But man, it felt good. It was really fun. Like I don't like snipers, and I had fun playing Hawkeye. And I didn't even get a chance to use his melee either. I basically just shot heads and angled and used my E and ultimate, and it was fun. I don't play Tracer in Overwatch. I don't find Tracer... I understand the appeal of Tracer, but Tracer's never been a character I've enjoyed, and yet I like Star-Lord when I played him back in the day. Winter Soldier immediately... Yeah, Winter Soldier's probably my favorite so far. I love Winter Soldier from the closed beta. Glowing review for me in terms of how much fun he is to play. Storm is horrific, I think. But but see, the thing with Storm... Okay, so here's the thing with Storm. Storm is really, really poorly balanced. Really poorly balanced. Like, to the point that, like, I'm questioning whether they even play the game. That's a joke. But seriously, like, they clearly ran out of time or they needed more reps. She's horrible. But, the hero kit is probably fine. They just need to change a lot of things. Like, the alternate burst fire, it just doesn't quite do it. But I like the idea. I like the speed boost on a DPS. That's unique. The flight is not bad. It just needs to be a lot more controlled and probably not free flight. Maybe like a boost and a hover so that she's not a permanently flying character. The ult's cool. I mean, I think there's like the amp is, she's not very good, but like I can see that it's not my favorite, but like there's potential there. I think even Iron Man has potential, like his boost and his torpedoes. There's potential. It's not great. Like this isn't Genji. You know what I'm saying? His current gameplay loops really bad, you know, so it's like the kit has potential. It's just really poorly balanced, so he's just basically flying in the air and spam a choke character, right? But yeah, I mean, okay, you ready for this? Even freaking Black Widow, like I mean, she's a sniper character, you know, that was supposed to be a snort. It came out like a snort. But like, okay, there's some dynamics to it. Like there's some little details about like you can melee and then you can actually grapple to somebody else. Even though you meleeed somebody else, you know. I'm a little still unsure on the whole concept of sniper, but like, dude. And then Spider-Man, like, oh my gosh, Spider-Man and Black Panther, like really fun. And I felt like Squirrel Girl was just like a better version of Junkrat in a lot of ways. Like she doesn't have the tech from the mind, so I don't want to say better version of Junkrat. She's a different version, right? But it feels like pretty thoughtful, you know, pretty interesting. My point being is I'm trying to play devil's advocate on some of like I think Namor's pretty cruddy. I don't enjoy Namor personally. But at least he has the mechanical satisfaction, right? there's such a massive gap. And I do want to point out, I do think it's harder to design tank and support. So I want to, again, play devil's advocate to that. I understand that. But my opinion is my opinion, y'all. And you're here for my opinion. And my concern for this game is not going to be role lock. I have my thoughts about that. We'll talk about that later. It's not going to be balance. It's not going to be a destructible environment. It's not going to be the lack of heal passive. It's not going to be about, you know, I don't know, the rank system, whatever else. It's going to be the fact that you're going to want people to log in and want to play this game. And at least in the tank pool, and to a lesser extent, the healer pool, but at least in the tank pool, I just don't see redeeming factors to make these things fun. I just don't see it. There's going to have to be a bit of a reckoning. I'm going to assume, and I really hope that before they do some crazy harsh roll lock, right, but they take a look about why people are not playing tank in this game, because there's so many tanks in this game that I don't want to play them. I don't want to play them, and I know there's going to be people that disagree with that. It's obviously, but if a certain percentage of the population agrees with me, then you're going to have some serious problems with people not playing tank. That's the problem. The problem is not that nobody likes playing tank. The problem is not enough people will want to play tank. And so you're going to have compositional problems. You're going to have, if you ever were to even enforce roll lock, even in a partial standpoint, like a 1-1-1, you'd have major problems. So Overwatch again. Yes and no. I think tank had issues in Overwatch, but I do think that Reinhardt, Winston, and Zarya and D.Va were at least a few seasons in, like, or on launch, fine. They were all fun. They were simple, but they were fun, and they've aged well. Yeah, Hazard feels to me, you know what Hazard feels to me? Hazard feels like a Marvel Rivals kit design in terms of it's very bloated. There's a lot of things going on. But you know what? It's fun. And you can kill stuff. It's not, the funny thing is, I think if Hazard were in Marvel Rivals, I'd be saying the same thing because you wouldn't be able to kill anything. But at least there's a fine slash that you do in the air. You know, using the wall for mobility introduces a ton of choice. The mobility is on a low cooldown, and it is omnidirectional. Hazard, I think, is going to feel a little better than what we have here, despite being in a 5v5 format. Right, that's the thing. Is we have this question, we have this catch-22 here, where it's like, do you buff tank's damage? Do you nerf sustain? But then, exactly, if you nerf sustain, is anyone going to want to play support? Because a lot of these characters don't have a whole lot more going for them than sustain. Not all of them, but a few of them do. Marvel heroes are more expressive than Overwatch? Depends. I think duelists almost certainly, like almost objectively true. I think if you compare the duelists in Marvel Rivals compared to what we have for damage dealers in Overwatch, they're, I think, more unique. I think they're more unique globally. Like there's some, like, yes, there's a lot, like think about how many dive characters that function in completely different ways in terms of their mechanics and how they function. But again, we're going back to the damage category, right? We're going back to the damage category. And if you go to supports, yeah, things start to kind of blend a little bit. There's lots of Genji variants. Yeah, in terms of the mobile DPS or the dash, I guess. But even that's like, they're more succinct. That's true. I want to point out that more is not better. So I will play like devil's advocate to Overwatch here, that more is not better, right? You can have a very simple character like Genji. I wouldn't say very simple, but relatively simple character like Genji that is very nuanced because all of his abilities have like different choices. That's why I kind of like Psylocke. And in a major way, she's very similar to Genji because the nuance is not in the number of abilities that she has, but how you use the abilities. And I think that's cool, right? I'm gonna keep playing a little bit more, and I'm really enjoying the DPS cast. But yeah, I guess that's my mini rant. I'm hoping that they're able to fix it. I really hope that they're able to fix it. I hope that is by far the biggest issue with this game, is that the number of characters that are just not that fun or very interesting to play. And I said this literally from day one, if I remember correctly, on my first review of Marvel Rivals, is that it's really good, but it's very top heavy. Very top heavy. This is not me knee-jerking after a couple of boring quick play games. This is from day one. Day one. You could tell that a lot of these characters just didn't feel all that fun to play, which cannot function in the hero shooter environment. It cannot.